Holy moly, this has been one crazy adventure on this motor. But it's getting there. Alright, so since in the last video, ran into a couple minor snags, just with the intercooler piping clamps and stuff. Getting all that situated now. Got the clamp in for the wastegate. She's on there and tight. Gotta find all my plugs and whatnot so I can plug what ports I'm not using on the wastegate. I need to take it back off too, because I don't even know what size spring's in there. I bought an assortment, but show you what I'm doing. Let me get up. Alright, these right here are too long. That's what I'm doing. Putting my vice grips on them, clamping back as far as I can, and I'm lobbing off probably almost half. And the reason why I'm doing that is when I go to put these on, they're so tight. I don't have any wiggle room. And trying to get them squeezed together to get the damn nut started is next to almost impossible. So I got that one on. This one I trimmed, so that's on. That one I trimmed, so that one's on. Now I'm about to do two more of these 2-inch. And I can jump over to these other bigger ones, start getting them all cut, and finish getting all this buttoned up and tight. All right, clamps are on. Got that one. I need to find one that's gonna fit that. I don't have any more 2.5. I don't know if 2.5 would fit that, but. And then this guy, I was tightening this one up. Wasn't even going all crazy on it, but the damn, I guess the welds are weak on it where they tack welded it. So I'm gonna have to get a new one for that. Yeah, that's where I'm at now. I need to get this wastegate off so I can figure out how I want to plumb that. And need to look in. I ordered a dump tube, but it's got the wrong flange on it. It's a little bit smaller, like a 38 mil or something. So, I mean, I got flanges that came with the wastegate that could cut and weld it. I want to find a downpipe or make my own if I can. But I need 3-inch. So, I can get that mocked up and get it welded. Even if it fits inside there in the inner diameter, that gives me something good to weld a bead around, but that's where I'm at. Alright. So the coilovers are on the hatch. Got that done. My dude Bill got his blowed out coilover replaced. He's going to do the other ones tomorrow. I just cleaned up the valve cover a little more. Got the first coat of black paint on it before I color shift paint it.
I grew up in the country, listening to all types of music. Everything from Nick Jr. to Eminem. But one thing that was jammed in my neck of the woods was LsVtec. stay the same, whatever you make you listen to what you say. It made you actually feel. And that inspires me to write about how I feel.
Fucking ripped off Wednesday.
I was going to wait until after I got, at least a good foot or two of my downpipe made, so I could put my wideband in before I started it. But I think it'd be all right as long as everything don't, if it's making funny noises, obviously shut that off. But I'm gonna center my dizzy, snug that down. Like I said, I gotta put the axles in and whatnot, fill the trans up, get the engine ready. I still need to get the stainless steel braided line to route over here to where the breather box is going to be at. Battery's going to have to get relocated, but I'm not going to do all that until after I hear it run. But it's almost there. Fill it up with coolant. Alright, we got Bill over here. He just swung by. He's excited to hear this thing start. I told him it's going to be probably starting a day. So he's hooking up his little contraption on there so we can get some coolant in the coolant system. I got the oil filter on. Oil is in it. Went ahead, relubed everything up on the top. I'm going to get ready to get my valve cover on. Just waiting a little bit longer for the clear coat to set up. But yeah, this thing turned out pretty good. Alright, so got the new axles in. The steering knuckles all hooked back up, lower ball joint, etc. Got the fork on. I took that off because I did have to take the axles out. Oil filter on, like I said, oil's in it. We're about to get the coolant in it. I gotta hook up that line inside for the oil pressure gauge, and I'm gonna give it a couple turns without the spark plugs in it. Bill's gonna watch the oil pressure gauge. As soon as it starts lifting on oil pressure, I'm gonna put spark plugs in it. Then turn the key on, prime the fuel system, make sure nothing's leaking, and go from there. I do still have to hook up my starter wire, so that's gonna get hooked up. Trying to think. Oh yeah, I gotta snug up the dizzy too. Get it about center. Snug it down. Once I hear it run and I finish tying everything in, I can sit there and actually run it, and then I'll adjust the timing. I'll set the timing with the timing light. But this side's in, new axle's in, forks on. Everything's tight on this side. Damn, it drunk that quick. Alright, so everything's primed up, oil, coolant, oil pressure gauge line, it's all on there. I got this wire. I'm gonna jump it from the battery, the hot, down here to where your exciter wire plugs into on the starter. I'm gonna jump that just to get it cranking. I'm gonna let it crank a couple times, crank it a couple more times, do that like 2 or 3 times, and then crank it 5-10 revolutions until your oil pressure is starting to go up. Alright, here's the first attempt. Hopefully the battery's still charged. This thing hasn't turned over in a while. Hey Bill, make sure it's out of gear, even though it's up in the air. Make sure it's out of gear. Alright, let's do this. Nothing. Thing should have cranked.
You want me to turn the key on? Does the key have to be on?
No, it shouldn't, because it's getting power to the starter. I'm jumping the ignition, the exciter wire. I can hear something clicking.
Yeah, I hear something clicking over here too.
Yeah, let's get the key and see what it does. Alright, so it was bad ground. I got to retap and find a different bolt for this ground over here on the side of the frame rail. But touch your one wire to your exciter on your starter, hot on the positive of your battery. Everything's primed.
Start to pick up on oil pressure too a little bit.
Starting to get oil pressure, so that's a good sign. It's telling me oil's going throughout the whole system. Alright, cool. So we got oil pressure. Bill said start to rise. So I was going to throw in some spark plugs. One spark plug on number 2 coming out of the old B16 head. I was only going to use them just to hear it run. But it was coming out funky, man. And when I got it out, the threads were kind of flattened. And I remember putting spark plugs in and it kind of being not finger easy to go in, just a little hard. And yeah, so those threads must have been boogered up or something. So my dude Bryce, he stopped over, he ran back to his house. He's got a set of plugs. He's gonna hook me up with these new plugs, and that way I could get this thing running. Alright, so I'll prime this a couple more times. Should be primed by now. I'm gonna give it a test hit, see what it does. It's gotta be that ground again. Alright, the exciter wire, I didn't plug it back in. Let's see. Alright guys, so I think that's gonna be it for this video. I have to dive in a little bit deeper on this guy. Dig it is kind of sitting back on the ground. But I'm gonna dig a little deeper on this. I'm gonna swap my fuel rail over, put that pressure gauge in the fuel rail, and see what I have on pressure. I check spark. Spark's good. Fuel, it's getting fuel, but how much? So this might be a fuel related issue. But won't call it a day. Been hitting it pretty hard today. Got a lot of stuff done on it, which I'm happy. And can't wait to hear this thing run. So, as always, see you guys on the next one. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you haven't. Hit that sub button. That way you can stay up to date on my future content and our downshift imports car meets.